Hey guys, welcome back to Cocky Gachas, and in this video I'm going to tell you why I think the mantra of never using epic units as fodder might not be true all the time. Let's dive right in. So first things first, to give you guys some context on what exactly I mean on foddering epic units, this is what I mean. So if you come here onto the Ascension page and here I click on the Memphi, you can see I need 2 epic plus units to upgrade it to legendary, and people are saying that hey, you should only use Rose and Rita, right? You should never use something like a Dora or use something like a Cherry to actually upgrade it, because you need to collect 8 copies, because you need to origin them subsequently to increase your level cap. And this is what I mean by that. I don't think that this mantra is true, and to lay some context on who this mantra is not true for, I would say that for free-to-play players and for light spenders, I feel that this mantra is not true, right? You should to a certain extent use the epic units as fodder, and I will explain how I go about it. So when you have an epic unit that you want to origin, let's say you have like 8 units of Memphi right now, right? But what exactly do you need? You not only need 8 copies of Memphi. What you need instead is to have all these elite epic plus units, and you also need like legendary plus units and legendary plus units. So to save you guys some time, right, what it means is that one epic plus unit, you need 18 rares to make one of this, and to total get to origin, right, you need a total of 10 epic plus, because a legendary unit, a legendary plus unit, you need 4 copies of epic plus to make it legendary plus. Hence you need 10 copies of epic plus, meaning you need 180 rares to get a unit to origin on top of having 8 copies of that unit, right? Just thinking about that, do you think it's easy, right? It's quite difficult as a free-to-play player, or even you are a light spender. I think it's still very difficult, right? So why I want to say that this idea of using epic plus units to upgrade is not crazy at all. In fact, it's very logical if you think about it, right? But in what circumstances? So using the fairy faction for me as an example, here you can see Talia and Chloe. I can confidently say that I'm going to have 8 copies of Chloe at the end of this event, and when the Talia banner comes next week, I'm also going to have 8 copies of it, I think, with the 300 pulls that I'm going to do on the Talia banner. So these 2 units, I already have intentions to origin, and I can origin them. I have 8 copies, right? So what this means is that this in total is 360 rares. Of course, I'm now already at legendary plus, so maybe it takes a bit lesser, but even then not that much lesser, right? So we consider that after I'm done with Chloe, I'm done with Talia, what's next, right? So I'm looking at Vivi, I'm looking at Naya. Am I ever looking at something say Rene? Not really, right? After, let's just even assume that after 4 copies, right, I'm looking for a 5th copy for a Fraction Tower, right? What am I going to choose? I'm probably going to go with Chloe or Mariam. I don't think I will go with Rene even after its buff state. I still don't feel it's good enough, right? Even something like a new unit, right? They are releasing 13 units, and they are going to constantly release units in the future. So there are going to be new fairy units. Maybe I'll use the new fairy unit. Do I really want to use Rene? Not exactly. So if I were to say, okay, this Rene is the 6th unit that I want to origin, right? Let's just say I have 8 copies of Rene. I'm going to origin it after I origin 5 units. What that means is that I'm going to need 900 copies of very rare units, right, before I can reach the stage whereby I origin Rene. So what happens if I have 8 copies of Rene now? Am I going to origin Rene now? I don't think so. Even if I have right here 8 copies, I don't want to do that. What this means is that it's always going to sit there. The 8 copies are going to sit there wasted, right? Instead, my strategy is that personally, I am going to use Rene as a fodder to upgrade my other units to the relative ascensions, right, going to origin, so that by the time I feel that when it comes back to having the Rene itself, right, even if I use up the 4 copies I have right now, subsequently once I'm done 1, 2, 3, 4, even 5 Nico, I'm going to have probably 8 copies of Origin Rene again, right? I don't really think that it's going to be a problem to get 8 copies of Rene. Even if it is, so what? I'm just going to pull on the pickup banner and get another unit to 8 copies. I don't necessarily have to use Rene. And you guys might say, hey, what if I need to use Rene for new content that comes out? Very valid. So if there's a risk here that Rene might be very relevant in the future for a certain content, then just keep an elite plus copy of it, right? If you really think that it's going to be somewhat relevant. I don't think there's need to keep 8 copies of it just for the chance of it being like, let's say, relevant for a certain content, and it's irreplaceable. Rene is the only unit that you're going to need for that content. I don't agree. So yeah, if you really want, keep a copy of Rene to use it for other purposes, or you want to ascend for souling, really up to you, but I wouldn't think to do that. And that is the reason why I feel it's good, and it's especially good for free-to-play players and light spender, because the whales itself, they are not going to have a problem, right? So whales itself, when they want to ascend units, hey, I can just ascend this unit, I can ascend that unit, I can just swipe the card and draw, right? For free-to-play players and light spenders, you have the fodder gated problem, which is why I think this strategy personally is my approach, and you don't necessarily have to follow it, but this is my rationale for going at it. Now at this point, there are only going to be two outcomes, right? You are going to be either convinced by my rationale and going to follow this approach, or you are not convinced at all, you are trying to leave a comment down to flame me already. Whatever that is, right? For the people that are interested, I'm going to explain when you should do it, right? So right now, you can see with the example I gave just now, right, whereby I have the Talia, the Chloe at 8 copies, right? Exactly. That is when you want to do it, right? When you are convinced that those two units, you can definitely go to Origin, right? So you will not hamper your progress itself if you cannot go to Origin on that unit, right? You don't want to waste your other epic fodders just so to make them like Eternal Plus, for instance, but you're constantly stuck at Eternal Plus, right? That's not what something we want to happen, right? So what I suggest is that definitely you need to know and understand which units you have to Origin, right? So let's say here Talia and Chloe, and I know that subsequently the third and the fourth place belong to Vivi and Naya, right? So use the unit that is at the bottom of the food chain, right? That you are never going to ever use. You convince yourself that you're not going to use, then I think it's fine to choose that unit. And also when you have 8 copies, right? If you don't even have 4 copies, right, please don't do such thing, right? Don't tell people that I advocate for you to use epic fodder just to upgrade your Chloe from Elite Plus to Legendary. Please don't do such a thing, right? You should have enough fodder to get to Legendary at least with the normal fodders, right? For this itself, it's a strategy that I think it should be employed to go to Origin if you have units that you want to go to Origin with. So namely, look at this here. I'm never going to use this right now to upgrade, use this right now, this strategy right now. Let's say I have 2 Irushas of 2 Rebeccas, right? I'm not going to use it to upgrade the Petra right now. I'm going to wait till I have 8 copies of Petra, and then I decide whether which units I want to use in the undead faction. And also, maybe it might not be this units, right? If right now you feel that, hey, Rebecca and Irusha is quite useful to me, I don't really want to do it Koki Gachas, so I can't really pick, then don't do it, right? For me itself, the fairy faction is quite simple. I don't think I'm going to use Rene, so I'm just going to fodder Rene, right? And for the human faction itself, I don't think I'm going to use Cherry, so I'm just going to follow Cherry. And itself, look at this as an example. I have Catherine Lindsay, next is going to be Memphi, and then coming up in 4th place, probably it's going to be Claire, right? Claire, I have 6 copies already, look at this, right? So, I think 5 copies, but yeah. So 5 copies of Claire, and then last one, it's either going to be Dora or it's going to be Jade, right? Yeah, I don't really think I'm going to use Cherry, so Cherry I'm just going to fodder. So in that rationale, right, you can think of it as a strategic plan, right? It's not that you just use it all the time, right? That's what I want to advocate against beginners from doing. Don't use it all the time. This strategy is when you are in the mid game, when you are about to go to Origin, you have a problem with the fodders, then do it. So all in all, 3 main things to consider when doing this. Who should do it? Free-to-play players, light spenders. If you're a heavy spender or whale itself, right, you shouldn't even be looking at this video. It doesn't really concern you, right? Because you have so much fodders that it's going to be a waste for you to fodder away the epic units, given that you can just use the fodder that you get from drawing the banners itself, right? It's going to sustain you probably, so I don't think it's for you. Next is when to do it. When you are certain you're going to Origin a unit, meaning you are going to have 8 copies of the unit already, or certainty that you're going to get 8 copies of the unit, that's when you decide to use this strategy for that unit. And lastly, who do I fodder? So this unit has to be at the bottom of food chain, and for reference, you can look at your tower itself, right? This is a beast tower. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units, right? Right now, I don't have any opportunity to like fodder any units because all of them are useful. But next time, if Honglan comes out, I really like Honglan, I'm going to draw Honglan, and it's going to be one of the units I want to prioritize Origining, and then Flynn moves out of the equation, and that's when I fodder Flynn. And that about does it for this video on my take on whether you should use epic units as fodder. Personally, I was quite hesitant to make this video because I know it's going to draw a lot of hate, right? People are going to say that I don't understand the game, I'm teaching people the wrong things, but I've thought this through quite hard, and I feel that for my approach itself, this is what I'm going to do. You are free to not follow me, right? But for me itself, I think this is good for my progression as a semi-light spender, right? Because I'm going to buy the growth pack, and also it's going to help me get unstuck because I'm going to be able to ascend more units. And also, you know what is going to help you get unstuck? These videos over here, right? Check out this playlist whereby I clear the stages, break down them for you so that you know what to use for the stages. So definitely check them out. This Koki Gachas, signing off.